How's it going, guys? Today I am going to show you how to very basically customize your own HUD to use with OpenHud. It's not going to be very super in-depth. I'm just going to introduce you to the basics and show you kind of what you need to know to get started with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's hop straight into it. Okay, so before we get into it, let me just go through some of the prerequisites that you should have before you actually get started doing this. So you're pretty much going to need three main things to edit the HUD, and that is to know basics of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Now, HTML and CSS are pretty easy things to learn. They're relatively easy to pick up, and there's a lot of resources out there for you. JavaScript is more of programming. There's not a lot of JavaScript per se that you have to edit in this to customize it for your own liking, but I would recommend learning that stuff, and it is very easy, especially nowadays with AI and stuff, to pick up on at least the basics of it. So those are basically the three prerequisites that you would want to have coming into this. Just know that you need to know JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. CSS is for the styling. JavaScript is for kind of interacting with the HUD, and then HTML is the basic layout stuff. We don't really use that much HTML, but it's if you understand HTML, it makes things a lot easier. Along with that, you're also going to need a code editor because we are going to be doing a little bit of coding. I highly recommend using Visual Studio Code. That is what I'm going to show you guys how to do everything in. So if you have a different editor, I'm sure you probably have a good idea how it works, but for this, I'm just going to be using VS Code and nothing else, so I highly recommend using that. And one of the most important things, you need to have Node.js to be able to actually develop stuff. And I would also recommend having it for just the normal app as well. But yeah, those are the three prerequisites that you need to get started. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first things first, go ahead and you can either download the source code through the zip, or if you're using Git, you can clone it down, however you want to do it. So I am personally, for this, I'll show you download the zip. I already downloaded it before, and I moved it to my desktop. So here we go. We have the OpenHud React HUD main. Okay. We have our application from the installation video right here. And at this point, you might also want to launch Counter-Strike, at least just for now. But you will need that for the development environment. You'll need Counter-Strike open and in a demo or a match, and you'll need the OpenHud app open so that it receives data from the game and sends it to your HUD. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up OpenHud. And just like it was from last time, here we go. So it's all loaded and good to go. That means that we can actually go into our development mode. So first things first, come into the OpenHud React HUD folder. And however you would like to do this, you can either open up your terminal or command line and go to the specific directory where your folder is, or what I like to do in VS Code is you can open up terminal and type code dot. That will open up the folder in VS Code right here. But yours is probably going to look something like this. What I like to do is I like to go terminal, new terminal. That's going to have the same thing as the one on the desktop. And you're going to run npm space I or install. Either one works. So npm I believe I already installed the packages, but it should take a second, and it is going to install all the dependencies that you need for the HUD to work. Okay, so now that we have done that and we have OpenHUD open and ready to go, next step is to open up Counter-Strike and actually get into a demo or a game. So let's just throw ourselves in a demo real quick, whatever demo you want. And like I said before, I highly recommend using demos as your testing. I will most likely in the future or eventually have a way to run test data, but as of right now, this is the best way to do it. And you can kind of just minimize the game. So at this point, especially if you go to your dashboard and you see players connected and you have all that stuff going, that means you're good to go. Your HUD is receiving data. We just need to start it. Okay, so to get it started, we can look over here at the package.json, and this is going to have a few scripts for you. You don't really need to know too much. The two ones that we are going to use is we are going to use npm dev, and we're going to use npm build. So dev is for development, build is for building out the HUD. Eventually, we will probably, once I have the features added, use sign as well so that we can actually sign our HUDs and make them a little bit more secure and stuff. But for right now, especially for development and how the HUD works as of right now, we just need dev and build. So for these scripts, you just come back down to the same terminal that you ran npm -i or install at, and we are going to run npm run dev. So we're running it in development mode, and it's going to pull up a localhost 3500 on your default browser, and this is going to show you all that the HUD is working. Okay, so it's probably best to have two monitors, but I will do my best to show you guys. I'll just put them side by side for now. But once you're at this stage, we are fully ready to start editing what we would like. And I am just going to run through some of the basics for you guys to start. So all of the things that you will probably want to edit, if you want to edit like colors, if you want to edit different roundedness of the boxes, if you want to edit basically anything in general, like styling wise, that is going to be CSS. Okay, so we can first go to our sources folder, and for the most part, if you're just looking to change colors, you can come straight here to app.css, and you can scroll down, and these root colors are going to be the colors that you change that most things are going to be applied to. So for example, the background colors of the top panel are usually the subpanel color, I believe, or main panel color, one of the two. The T colors are right here, so there's two different ones. There's T color and then there's new T color. I have made mine the same, but they are separated. I believe the regular T color is the top bar and stuff like that, and the new T color is usually the side players. Okay, so if you're just looking to do colors, and I can show you right here, just to give you an idea, if we wanted to make the CTs green, let's see, so that one didn't change much, but if we change the new color and we go green here, you'll notice a difference right away. So just Control S to save it, and you'll see that changes the colors nice and easy like that. And so really a lot of this is just going to come down to poking around in the HUD, changing things up, and just seeing how things work. That's basically what it comes down to. You can also change the border radius right here if you don't want it rounded. You can take that off. Everything goes square. And yeah, so if you're basically just looking for colors, this is the place to do it right here. Now, everything else, if you want to edit actual layouts, if you actually want to edit different things like that, most of the stuff is going to be in this HUDs folder right here. And it's pretty well organized for you to be able to understand. So players is going to have all the players on the side. It's going to have the observed player. And it also has avatar in it. Okay, so for styling, right, if you don't know much about coding and stuff like that, styling is going to be in these SCSS files, okay? So for observed, there's one for observed that's going to change all the players, or all the styles for the observed player in the middle. Players is going players.css, sorry, a lot of S's in there, is going to change the ones on the side. Okay, so for example, let's see, what if I wanted to have a background on the avatar right there, right? So we could say background color for this right here, dot avatar, is going to be, so background color red, okay? And that's going to give us a background color, okay? All right, and I guess also one very important tool that I can show you is when you're in a browser, you can right-click on the page and you can hit Inspect, and that's going to bring up this screen. I am going to dock it on the right side, so it's right here. And this is probably your most useful tool to actually start editing and understanding things. So you can hit this pick element from page button, and this is going to let you drag over whatever thing that you want to look at. So if I wanted to look at the avatar for the players on the side, I can click this, go over here, it highlights the box, click on it, and it'll say right here, image, height, with all that information that we need. It's also going to give you classes for them, and I'm not going to specifically teach you guys how to use CSS. Just know that if you have a basic knowledge of it, this is pretty easy and everything is pretty well organized, okay? And that is pretty much it. So once you've customized it, and I guess I can go through a few other things here. We don't use everything in the HUD as of right now, so like we don't have cameras yet. We don't have a kill feed yet. So there are some things in here, and you can probably look in the layout.tsx to see which ones are commented out. If they're like green like this, or they have the /* and then */ that means it is not currently implemented, right? So we can look in here. And we can see what is being used. So overview is not being used as of right now. Tournaments not being used. And these probably will be used in the future. I'll probably figure out something for it. But there are quite a few things that are not used as of right now. Okay, so for styling, that's pretty much it. Now, if we want to change like actual, like the way things work, that's when we get into these TSX files. So TSX is TypeScript, and TS is TypeScript, and TSX is a React. It's like JSX, but it's TSX. It's basically what React uses. TypeScript is the same thing as JavaScript, except for it has types, so it's a little bit more in depth and gives you a lot more options to use. I would recommend learning it, but these are going to have all the kind of like functions and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not going to teach you guys how to actually use TypeScript or JavaScript or anything like that. You guys are going to have to figure that out on your own, but it's relatively easy to get started. But if we just use our players as an example again, if we go to observed.tsx, we can come right here to the return statement, and this is like where all the, like this is where the layout for everything is. So like to pull this up, for example, again, if we wanted to come here and let's inspect element, and let's pull this over, and let's say, okay, I actually don't want the avatar here. I want it to be in line on the left, right? This is going to be, you're going to have some knowledge here, like I said, about CSS and how everything works, but relatively, or basically, what you would want to do is maybe move the position of the avatar holder right here, right? So if I were to move this entire div starts here, ends with a /div. So if I copy this, remove it like that, and then I go into the observed class right here, and you'll notice this goes all the way down, so this contains most of the stuff, and I paste it just like that, it'll be right there on the left. Now, obviously, that doesn't look good, so you're going to have to edit it up and fix it for yourself to your liking. But that's pretty much how you do it. So it's going to be a lot of poking around. It's going to be a lot of learning and just kind of getting familiar with it. And that's all it comes down to, really. Each of these TSX files are kind of just they handle the layout of everything. There are some things do have like small functions, like you can see that this one right here, if you just read it out to yourself, it kind of makes sense. So if there's no player, we're returning null, so it's not going to return anything if there's no player. We're saying that a current weapon is a player.weapon, and then we're filtering out whatever it is based on if it's active, right? And then there's other things to go along. So we're not going to get too deep into that stuff, but just know there are some functions that you have to know, but really it comes down to here's the layout, and then the CSS, or I guess the SCSS files are going to be the styling. Okay, so that's it. That's really all it comes down to. Okay, so now let's say that you have edited your own HUD and you have everything to your liking. You could change fonts if you want. You can change whatever assets right here for different images. Like here's the images for the icons for the bombs and stuff like that. But let's say you have this all figured out and you're ready to actually use it, right? Let me go ahead and let's add, even though it looks ugly, let's go to the observe player and let's add a red background like we did before. So background color, actually this is the wrong one. Here we go. So we're going to say background color is red. Okay, so this is the red box, right? Let's say that's that. We made all the edits now. We want that red box. We are good to start using it. We've done all the testing we need. We can go ahead and stop this. You can press Control-C to stop the development right here. So this is technically still going because it's not refreshed, but if I were to refresh the page, you'll see that it no longer works. Okay. So we close out of that. Everything is all good to go. We've tested our HUD. We've ran through all the things. Everything is how we like it. We have to now build it. So like we ran the script before for development, we are going to run npm run build. And so this is going to build out the HUD. This is going to basically, when you're doing it in development mode, there's a lot of extra stuff that is being used that you probably don't need in a production build. This is going to give you a production build. It's going to get rid of all the extra stuff that you don't actually need. And once we run that and we get this, we get the message built in however many seconds it takes you, you will notice now that you will have a build folder right here. Okay, so build folder is there, and we can actually just close out of this now. And if we open up the desktop folder, there it is right there. So sorry, should have been popping up there, but here it is right here. So we have a build folder, okay? Now, we're going to take that build folder, and we're going to go into the OpenHud's HUDs directory. I probably need a better name for this, and this might change in the far future. However, as of right now, your OpenHud's HUDs directory is going to be in this PC, local C drive, I guess, or wherever you installed your stuff. But you got to find your users folder. Mine is this one. And then if you scroll down in here, you're going to see, there it is, OpenHuds-HUDs right here. And I have a couple already built right here. But you're just going to take that folder, that build folder right here, and we're going to copy and we're going to paste it directly in. And as of right now, as of this recording, as with everything, there's probably going to be changes, but everything should relatively stay the same, and I will update you if not. But for right now, to be able to use your built HUD, you need to make sure that the build folder is just called build. It's going to use whatever folder is just called build. I have build JT and build default just as placeholders. It doesn't use those. It's only going to use the one that is called build. Okay? And you are done now. That's all you have to do. You edit your HUD, you put it in that folder, and now, if we hit overlay, you will see it is now using this overlay that we just made with the red background. And that's all it comes down to. Okay, quick cut in the video. I would recommend after placing the build folder into the HUDs directory, go ahead and restart your app. Don't just exit out because exiting out minimizes it, but actually go here to the tray and quit. And then let's go ahead and restart it. And that way the backend server kind of restarts everything just to make sure it's all good and running. And you'll notice now that when we go into our OBS, if we add the HUD that we had before right here, there it is. So we have the avatar with the red background and everything is working, and it is that easy. So really it's going to come down to, like I said, learn CSS basics, learn the basics of HTML, learn the basics of JavaScript, and once you learn those, you're going to pretty easily be able to figure stuff out, and definitely utilize things like ChatGPT, utilize YouTube videos. A lot of this stuff is pretty simple in terms of styling, and that's basically all you have to do. And yeah, that's about it. That is a very basic introduction to customizing your HUD, but I feel like I have given you enough information to be able to figure it out from here. When I started, I knew nothing about coding. I knew nothing about CSS and styling things. I knew nothing about any of that. But it just takes some patience and it takes some time to be able to actually learn those things. But if you're willing to put in that time and effort, then you will be good. It's all relatively easy. That this is very basic what we just went over. There's obviously a lot more advanced things that goes into it, but for the most part, that should get you where you would like to go. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the Discord. We're pretty active in there as always. And thank you for using the HUD, and have a nice day.